Welcome to Wake Up West Palm, where we talk all things downtown West Palm Beach, and you get to meet some of the incredible people and businesses in our beautiful community. And today I am joined by Sherryl Muriente, the Public Realm Director at the West Palm Beach Downtown Development Authority. Sherryl, I'm so excited about this.
Same here. Thank you, Kate.
So first of all, thank you for having us back at the DDA. We always love getting to film here. And why don't you start with, so you're responsible for placemaking here.
That's right.
So why don't we start with, what is placemaking?
What is placemaking? Yes, big question. So think of it this way, like we always have public spaces all over the cities and somebody designs that. But what people do in it is what makes placemaking happen. So for example, your memories of a location will come from placemaking. So imagine that you walk down the street, you find a courtyard or plaza, and you saw a band playing and there's music and you start dancing. You'll remember that place forever because you were dancing that night there and it felt great. And so that's what placemaking is about. It's about activating those locations with like what you love to do anywhere in the city.
Oh, yeah. I love that. I think we're all envisioning like a place that we've gone to. Yeah. So this is part of the Downtown Development Authority.
Absolutely.
But it's kind of recent that it's recent that you're full-time here.
Yes. I mean, we kind of started dabbling back in around 2012 with like parking day and little pop-ups like that, where you just take over a parking space and turn it into a park for a day. So, we would do fun little whimsical things like that. But it wasn't until 5 years ago we actually embedded it into the work plan and built something out of nowhere because we were kind of doing it but not organized. And so it's been a really cool journey actually all this time.
So what's your background? How did you get into this? It's such a fun role.
It is. It's like, I can't believe I get paid to do this actually. But no, I started by just so happened that I was in Puerto Rico back in the day in the late 90s. And I was already like an activist outside and I would like to do all sorts of things in public spaces, a lot of art happenings. That's kind of a popular thing in the 70s. But we would write something out and invite people to do it together. And so we would get together in a plaza and like do an intervention that night. And so little by little, I learned that these things were actually like legitimate ideas about urbanism. And I went into like school for architecture and then for urban planning. So within all that, I always had in my mind, like, I don't want to be a typical architect or urban planner because I think that's not me. I wanted to go out there and do things with people, which is not normal for an architect. They're always like, no, just design the building. Make sure it pretty.
The building looks pretty, that's it.
And I'm like, well, and actually in school I would design the building and be like, well, what's gonna happen around the building? Should we have like something going on and what are people gonna do? And so my professors were like, you should be an urban designer. You shouldn't be an architect. And once I went through school and learned all these things, with the background of what I did in Puerto Rico, it really opened a world of, these activations that I didn't know were possible. So.
That's so interesting. I love that. That's what I love about even just this show and being able to show the community that these are things that are very intentional, right? I think when we go into a city and we see things that are happening, we don't really know behind the scenes, how did that happen? What did that look like? Who's responsible for creating these kinds of spaces so that people actually want to come to a city, want to come to a downtown?
Yeah, that's right.
So you have an interesting background too because you are also an artist.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about
about
art and why that's also important in incorporating placemaking.
Art is so important because art is really like the tool that allows you to be creative and flexible and really go way outside of the box. And so I always think of art, for me personally, I started as a performer. So I did have like, in the first iteration of art would be like, just a punk rock band. And that was my artistic moment in the late 90s. And then from there, when I started doing more of these happenings on the street.
In a punk rock band. And you're
believe it or not.
Just did punk rock for a little bit, no big deal.
But it's true. You can find it all online. It does still exist out there. But it's kind of funny, like that kind of performing, which was all about like, tell others to be active with you in the streets. And we then got into this like, oh, let's do art in the public space and just happenings and performances. And at some point, I understood as I did the projects for placemaking, art really is like a tool to communicate with anybody. So when we do a lot of our projects, we do art workshops, and it's kind of inviting the community to do it with you. And then they get involved and their ideas come out. And then from there, we build on it and make programs happen. And so art really transcends like, forget the galleries and the museums. This is like anybody can be artistic and creative and show what their true self is. And so it's an expression. And that's what truly is such a good tool to use for placemaking.
Beautiful. That's so cool. I love that. So what are some of the projects that you have worked on that you're really proud of?
Oh my God. Well, I mean, definitely, I want to say here at the DDA, and I know it was like a really difficult time during COVID, but the fact that we were able to do dining on the spot, that was a big deal. We put out like, it was about 10 city blocks, 45 businesses that we popped out into the streets, the alleyways, the sidewalks. And we ran that for 2 years. And, it kept like the city alive. And from it, there was all sorts of programs online, like music programs, a coffee break program to tell you, we made our own announcements about what was open because you couldn't tell back then. And also things like most recently, Trojan Rocking Horse, big deal. We had 8 children's workshops where the kids got to design a Trojan rocking horse. And then this international artist, Marco Casagrande, came in and fabricated them in real life size. And we actually rolled with them through the city to collect the dreams of the people. To know, like, what would you wish for the downtown? What could the future be like? And we ended up collecting 1,300 dreams. And we're still working on these. Like now we're like, okay, why don't we make a dream machine, like mobile community center? And so we're in the middle of that. But it's so amazing, like these types of projects that allow us to be so flexible and then gather information and make these, what would be community dreams into reality and test them out. And if they work, we keep doing them. And if they don't, we move to the next dream,
Yeah. Oh, wow. So, well, there's a lot. That's a lot to get through.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's plenty of projects to do for the rest of our life here. Like, no problem.
Oh my. So how do people, if they're thinking, oh, I want to get more involved. I want to know more about, like, I didn't have an opportunity to put my dream in. I would love to think about some ways that I can really incorporate some of my gifts into the community.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we do have a volunteer system. Like online, you can go to our website and sign up and go under the placemaking web page under downtownwpb.com. And you could just tell us how you want to be involved and what already exists. We also now, since this year, have launched something called Placemaking Mini Grants. So people get to pitch their idea in 1-minute video, and then they go through a series of like workshops and things to see if they make it to the end, and then those become projects. And my door's always open. If you have an idea, you can tell me about it, and then we'll see if it fits the categories, and we'll try it out.
Oh, yeah. Nice. I like that. It feels very Shark Tanky.
Kind of. But in a fun way, not suffering.
Oh my gosh. No, that's cool because it gives people an opportunity to share their idea, and then you might be able to kind of help them even mature the idea a little bit. Because I'd be curious to know, when you are looking at a project, how are you determining what to move forward on and what to pass on?
So absolutely. We always give them a map of our downtown boundary area with like locations that are hotspots for us. And so that's the first step. It's like we know by collecting data, places that need more activity. The other thing we look for is we have like categories of what through the last 5 years people have been saying that they want. So there'll be things like, I want more wellness programming, or I want more, environmental initiative things. And so we'll put these themes out and get them to actually, if they respond and fit in, we'll try it. Like, why not?
All right.
Yeah.
Lots of ideas. There's not a
Yes.
lack of ideas in
Never.
people's minds. We have a community filled with ideas. So why don't you introduce our guest today?
Yeah, absolutely. So today we have with us Krystal Campi, and she's our placemaking coordinator.
Hello, Krystal.
Hi, ladies. How are you?
We are great.
Good.
Wonderful. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me on today's show. We're so excited.
Oh yeah, thanks so much for joining. So,
Come out.
you and Sherryl get to work together on all this placemaking stuff. So how did you get involved with placemaking and the DDA?
So I started about a year ago. April is actually my 1-year anniversary. And I started here in the downtown area in 2018 working for Fitness Hub Studios. I was their general manager, coordinating all of their fitness programs. And Sherryl was just starting to pilot her wellness hours. And she reached out to us to maybe sponsor that and help with some of the instructors for those programs. So I helped her, kind of lift that off with different wellness hours that she was testing, Motivational Mondays and Wellness Wednesdays. And slowly but surely, even Tiffany reached out to me, who is our marketing director, to host and help with their Sunset Sweat, which was a huge block party on the street. I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. Like, I want to do this. Like, how do I get more involved? Just like you were asking Sherryl, like, how do you get more involved? And I found myself asking her that same question. And she just started, bringing me on as a contractor as I still worked for Fitness Hub Studios and helping her with these programs as she was starting to test more and more out. And sooner or later, she finally snagged me, off the streets of Fitness Hub Studios. And I started working side by side with her last year.
And here you are,
Yeah.
doing all this incredible work.
I absolutely love it.
So-
I didn't even know this was a thing.
Right? That's the most amazing thing when you get a position like this. And you're like, wait a second, I didn't.
How was I not doing this already?
So, is there some themes that you see? Like, are people really interested in more wellness or environmental, or what are some of the themes that we're seeing that people are really
So
interested
people love to dance. Our Que Bacano, which is our salsa Latin night at Salento's coffee shop, is probably our most popular event. I think the highest average we had was over 600 people on their opening night for December 1st, where it was just Latin music, Domino's tables out, and of course his Colombian goodies that he was selling, cafecitos, and he now just started wine and mimosas and all of that good stuff, and people just coming out and really engaging in each other, and to see that we are making these streets come to life, and people are, like she said, creating memories in these spaces that didn't exist.
When you said people love to dance, I know you and I had talked about people doing the silent disco.
Yeah.
I'm seeing more of that.
It's so funny because when she first had me work one, we do it right in front of the Ben Hotel, and I was just sitting back, doing my coordinating stuff, checking people in, and just watching from afar, and I was like, what are they doing? What's going on? Like, what's happening? And Carolina was like, put the headphones on, it'll make sense. And sure enough, I was like, wow, this is what it's all about.
Yeah.
She does those subliminal affirmations, and it's really a wellness experience, not just a disco party. And she just creates this environment that everyone feels welcome. And it's awesome to see little kids, people in wheelchairs, all ages, shapes, and sizes coming out to just be one and not judge, which is nice.
If you
we had a lot
haven't
of that
done
today.
a silent disco, you have to do it. Otherwise, you just have no idea what's going on when you're walking by people
That's
just
right.
dancing and there's nothing, no music. So let's talk a little bit about your partnership with the city and the DDA. How I know a lot of people still aren't really sure, like, okay, who is responsible for what things? Like, is it the city? Is it the DDA? So how do you work collectively with the city to make these things happen?
Well, of course, and we all come together to kind of decide what we want to do as far as our programs go. And then we decide if we want them on public spaces or private spaces. And then if it's, private or public, then that we have to reach out to the city and get them involved. A lot of times they're just very open and willing. Just recently we did a flamingo vending machine during Clematis by Night, which was amazing. It was epic to have art being vended through an actual vending machine.
So
it's
cool.
affordable art, from all of these local artists. So they're very, accepting and willing and honored that we want to, pair up with them. So it's nice. But, obviously the DDA in the city, although we're a little different, so.
Love the collaboration.
Yeah,
this is what we do. We love to collaborate. So talk a little bit about what's the difference between placemaking and events, because there's a lot of events happening. Are they all considered placemaking, or is placemaking more intentional? What's the difference?
Well, Sherryl said it best when events, it's kind of like a moment in time. It's not something that, it may happen once a year, if it gets to that place, but we try to build programs that we can have more reoccurring. So you'll see our programs that happen like the first Monday of every month or the second Wednesday of every month, where as an event will happen, every Easter or every Valentine's Day. So we're more consistent, and I feel like we're really strive and focus on bringing the community together to create these engagements where they can get to know each other and get to know your neighbors. It's very rare these days to really know who your neighbors are and want to be in a space with them. So I feel like that's what we create.
And I think, adding to that is like when you go to an event, usually you have to pay for a ticket or pay a fee to be involved. All of our activations are free to the public, completely open. So that's like the first barrier that we get rid of. And the second thing is, historically, all of our vendors that do everything with us were either a community member, be it a merchant or a neighbor or somebody that had an idea and it fit what we were trying to do, and then they have become a vendor. So they weren't necessarily like, oh, I have this professional company that we're gonna hire you to do the event for us. And that's exactly what happened with you when you came on board. It was like Krystal just was passionate about wellness and fitness, and so she fit our wellness program and became the vendor for it. And so people evolve in those roles, and then it's almost like it becomes not a job because it's still fun. I mean, they do get compensated for their time, but they're doing it like that's now their new hobby / side hustle for us. And then it's like, it's all built with the community and not necessarily for them, but with them.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love that. So what is one of your dreams when it comes to downtown placemaking? What do you really wish to see for West Palm?
So, I think I really wish to see at some point that what we're doing is just happening side by side with community-led activations. And what I mean by that is I want to see more of neighbors that say, you know what, there's a plaza, I like playing guitar, I'm gonna sit here and make music. Because there's nothing, you don't need a permit for that, you don't need permission for that. And just let people know that they have the power to do things in public space and activate it themselves. Like, I wish that was like, and I see that coming. I think there's more people living here in downtown, and it's like we have primed the pump to let them know, like, you can be out on Friday and just dance in a public plaza, like, why not? Who needs to really ask permission for these things? Just be and own your space.
And what's one of your dreams?
Yeah, I was in my head envisioning that too, because we are empowering our community and our merchants to, just like she said, to create their own spaces and places, and I wish they knew more, and I'm glad we're doing this because this is going to empower them even more to know that they have the ability to create these memories, not just with their employees, but with the people around them.
Yeah.
Really supporting their businesses.
So for those people that are thinking, yes, I'm in, I want to learn more, I want to get all involved in placemaking, where can they go?
Just go to our website, downtownwpb.com, and if you just search for the word placemaking, you'll find everything about us there.
Well, you guys are so passionate about the work that you're doing, so you are in beautiful roles, and we're so happy that you are really spearheading all this placemaking activity happening here in West Palm Beach. So thank you, so much, Sherryl, for joining us. Krystal, thank you so much. And thank you all for joining us, and we hope that we see you at some of these incredible things happening downtown, and we look forward to seeing you next time.